often do you actually push your brain to think of other options when you're making a decision? I'm talking about that kind of like uncomfortable stretch and push where you ask your brain for more answers than the ones it gave you on default. That's what we're talking about today. We're talking about it specifically with an example that relates to food planning, and I want you to be able to make really strong decisions with all of the options on the table. Our brains by default like to think there's one or two options based on our past experience, and then we stop there instead of actually digging to find out what is going on, what are all the options so that you can make the absolute best decision when it comes to your health. If we haven't met before, hi, my name is Tanessa. I'm a life coach. We are going to jump right in today because decisions are one of my favorite topics to talk about. I love strong decisions. I love sticking to decisions, and I love the discomfort that comes up when your brain is like, I don't want to stick to this anymore. So if you haven't heard me talk about this before, one of the things that I do with my one-on-one clients is I make them plan their food 24 hours in advance. And the reason for this is because I want their brains to choose foods for the next day when they are neutral, when they're just hanging out at night, they're not late for work, they're not stressed out by their boss, they haven't forgotten their, work bag at home, there's no stress, there's no traffic. Because a lot of the times when we make impulsive decisions to eat things that aren't aligned with what we want, our health, our goals, it's because we're stressed out or bored or tired or there's an emotion involved. So by asking my clients to plan their food 24 hours in advance, it eliminates all the emotions because they've already done the planning, and now all they have to do is just stick to what they planned. So how we're going to relate this back to the topic of pushing your brain. I was reviewing a couple of my clients' food journals this week, and I noticed that when they decided to make the decision to plan what they ate, I asked them what you're going to eat and how much. And the decision below that they had written was, well, I'm going to have dinner with a friend. Now, there's no world for me as a coach in which dinner with a friend classifies itself as something that you can be held accountable to, especially when you're really trying to make changes and you're trying to eat whole foods and you're trying to do a better job at feeling like you are on the track where you're taking care of your health, right? Dinner with a friend can mean spaghetti and donuts and finish it off with 3 vodkas and ice cream. That's what dinner with a friend can mean, but it could also mean you chose a delicious garden salad, with feta cheese and chicken and half an avocado, and that can also be what dinner with a friend is like. So when you write that down and you make that a decision as what you're going to be eating ahead of time, there's nothing to hold you accountable to because technically you did go to dinner with a friend. So I always like to push my clients and ask them this question. What are the possible decisions you could make in that moment? And I was having a conversation and one of my clients was like, well, I'm going out so I could just eat what they're eating, or I could not go to the dinner at all. And we like to think in terms of like black and white, like, well, these are our only 2 decisions. But I like to really ask that you push your brain. What are all of the possible options that you could choose to know what you're going to plan ahead of time when you're eating out with your friends? Push your brain. Ask your brain a better question and you're going to get a better answer. Like, what are all of my other options besides don't go or eat whatever shows up there and not plan at all? Right? What are the other options? And I have a whole list of them. So say you were going to dinner at their house, you could ask them, and this is the fun part, is when we don't ask our brains those questions, like come up with other answers, our brains don't find solutions. Because a really simple one is, ask your friend what they're preparing for dinner if it's at their house so that you can just plan it ahead of time. Or you can offer to bring food so that you know there's food that's going to be there that you can eat. You could offer to cook together, so that way not only do you know what you're going to eat, but you can have some help, some say on it. If you're going to a restaurant, choose the restaurant ahead of time. It's super simple to just be like, hey, I want to be able to plan what I'm eating ahead of time. Do you mind if we choose the restaurant we're going to today so that I can, plan it out? You could go online and you could look up the menu and find out and see, okay, well, this is the choice I'm going to make when I'm here so that I know when I'm sitting at the table and all I want to do is choose the burger that, maybe I make the choice to have the power bowl or something like that. And you have that choice made ahead of time. You could plan for serving. So say you're going to a wedding and it's a buffet style and there's generally there's generally salads and there's generally some kind of like rice dish, and there's generally some meat. You could plan for, well, I'm going to have 2 palm size of whatever meat they're serving, and I'm gonna have, 2 fist sizes of potatoes they're serving, and then I'm gonna load the rest of the plate up with salad. You can decide ahead of time, because the point is, by making that decision for yourself ahead of time, when you go home and you look at what you planned for the day, you can say, yes, I did it, or no, I didn't. So dinner with a friend does not count as being specific. The point of this is, I want you to push your brain to find alternative solutions. How could you know what you could be eating tomorrow night? Or how could you find out? And a lot of it just has to do with asking, pushing your brain into those situations. And the thing is, a lot of the times we just don't want to plan because we don't want to have to feel uncomfortable in the moment when we want to emotionally make that choice to just, throw all of our goals and everything we're aligned with and our health out the window. We're just like, nah, not into it today. We'll start again tomorrow, Monday. It's almost January. We'll start again in the new year. When you make those kind of decisions, you need to act upon them, right? And that's the thing is when you know what you need to do, there's opportunity for you to go out in the world and fail. When you plan something specific, there's opportunity to go out in the world and get it wrong. And a lot of us aren't willing to risk that discomfort and that vulnerability of having, made a choice that didn't align with what you wanted. And we're not willing to face that discomfort of like, I know I said I was going to eat that, but I totally messed this up. We've got to learn from those kind of things. And the best way to learn is to really stretch your brain and not always go to those default responses of like, well, I don't know. Because I don't know just is a really convenient way for us to just not be willing to dig deeper and find out what's actually going on inside our brains. Because the answers are always there. We always have all the answers we need. We just have to get good at digging for them, about stretching and pushing our brain. And I want to challenge you to do that. If you're ever giving yourself, generic guidelines or I don't knows or like I'll plan it later, I want you to push yourself to ask yourself, whenever I'm making a decision, and this can be from anything, honestly, from buying a house, to do I want to get in a relationship with this person, to what to do next in my business, to what is my gym routine going to look like? What are all the possible options that are available to me? And write until you cannot think of any more. And when you can't think of any more, ask someone else. Their brains work entirely different. This is a beautiful opportunity for you to grow. And if this is really resonating with you and you're like, yes, I have trouble finding out what all my alternatives are sometimes, and I really just get stuck in my decision making, that's what I'm here for. I work one-on-one with clients all the time to help them make decisions and stay committed, because it's not about the foods you eat. It's not about the exercise plans you do. It's about how you stick to them. So if you need someone elbows deep in your corner with that, reach out and message me. I do 60-minute one-on-one consultations to find out exactly where you're stuck, show you how to get your transformation, and then ask you, what do you think about working together based on this solution that we could get for you? So if that is resonating for you, you don't have to wait until January to start a complete new transformation. You can start that right now. This week, you could see the scale go down. This week, you could get a gym routine in place. This week, you could start eating whole foods. And it just makes, all it's about is making that decision to start now. If you love this idea, please send me a message. Reach out. Let's get that chat scheduled and figure out exactly what we need to do to get you into your next breakthrough. I hope this has been super helpful. Have a wonderful week. We'll talk next time.